Hey Josh, how you doing? What's news in your grumpy world? Yeah, doing all right. Just gotta get back into the swing of things. It's been a good. I think this is the third week now. So 2 weeks I didn't do London calling. Did the odd midweek one, I think. Hey, little fat Morgan, welcome aboard, and hey Walter, welcome aboard. How are you doing? Evening, Jack. Did you enjoy the live stream earlier on the Virtual Pipe Club? Did you catch that, Josh? You don't have the link, but you could watch it. If you subscribe to the channel Virtual Pipe Club, it's just a live stream. You can't be one of the people on the screen unless you get in touch with them. But in terms of watching it, it's like watching this London calling session. As far as I know, you can just watch it while it's streaming. The people who are on it, I think, are via Zoom, but it's transmitted live via YouTube, on a YouTube channel, yeah. I was on there as their guest this evening, and it was very enjoyable. Hey, Algonquin, how you doing? Yeah, Chad's a great interviewer. He lets you speak, and I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much, Mike. How you doing? You just finished a bowl of special Attica flake in your LCS. Cool. Which LCS have you got? Hey, Kev. I have been busy tonight. Absolutely right. Yeah, not bad today, Mike. Not bad at all. Thank you for your email, by the way. I'm just briefly. I'll send them to you under the radar, and we'll see how we go. I do want to get something new out to you, though. The ones that I've got sitting around, a lot of people have seen. Although I'm sure there's a lot of people who use your website who are not necessarily tuned into the YTPC, but I'd like to send you maybe some of the ones that I've got that I'm happy with to send you, and maybe a couple of new ones as well. Hey Boris, how you doing? Just out of curiosity, Boris, did you use an external microphone? Because I think you're guilty of all that feedback, Boris. I was trying to figure out where all that feedback was coming from, and I think it was you must have a microphone rubbing against your beard, your glorious beard, or maybe your jacket or something like that. Hey Tony, hey Jeff, how you doing? Early Purple Dublin, right? I asked you that recently, didn't I? Yeah. I hope it smokes well. I haven't yet decided what I'm smoking now. I just finished 2 bowls during that live session with the Virtual Pipe Club. I've already had a bowl of Northwoods and I've had a bowl of London Fog. I might just go cigar actually, we'll see. Just going to settle in first. Cheers. Yeah, the shape is good, Jack. Perhaps nowadays, the sanding and the final shaping would have been tightened up a bit, but the overall, there's no reason why it shouldn't smoke very, very well. It's nice, it's lightweight, easy pipe to smoke. Hi Daniel, how are you? It seemed to be. I was actually watching Boris. It seemed to be you because I was watching you when you were speaking once, and you were shaking your head as you were speaking, and the noise was as you were shaking your head. So I think it was you. But I think David had good control over who was on or not. But at one point, I just couldn't hear what was going on, which is why I said, "Can everybody hear me?" But that's how it is nowadays. There's nothing you can do about feedback, I guess. Not having a go or anything. This is the LCDH, known as the Royal Robusto, is it? I think it's known as the Royal Robusto. Very nice smoke. Hi, Boca. You're in isolation, are you? Oh, for a change, a nice open draw. I don't know if you get these in the States. This is a company called Paleo. Very, very sharp. I used to use the Calibri. Sorry, the Cigar. There's this Cigar and the Butterfly Cigar. The Butterfly Cigar really is probably my favourite, but this one I'm using at the moment because it's new and it's really sharp. I've had it a few months and it's great. The pipe in the rack in front of the matches with the smaller drilled bowl. Do you mean this one here? It looks small because the head is so big, because the rim is so big, but I mean it is a little bit smaller. It's probably an 18mm or something like that. This is a calabash from Phil Rivara. It's got a removable insert, and it's drilled right at the bottom as you'd expect from a calabash. Hey Aaron, yeah, I caught your little bit as you joined towards the end of the video. Nice to meet you. Did I ever V-cut cigars? I used to always. In my car, I keep my V-cutter. Hey John, I have the V-cutter in the car. It's very, very sharp. It's an excellent V-cutter, Calibri. It was my favourite way of cutting a cigar for a while, but I went back. I've tried all the different ways. I've tried punching. I started off with straight, went to punch, then went to V, and went back to straight. Hey Chad. I just find that overall, the chances of getting a good smoke is always improved by having a straight cut. That's just my personal experience. I'm sure other people think otherwise. Everybody has their own way of doing things. I say the same with pipe smoking. Everybody has their way of doing it. There's no real way. There's no one way. People talk about how you pack your pipe, the 3-load method, or the what's his name method, I think the Frank method. Lots of different things. And, in the end, you just do what works for you. That gives you the best smoke. Really not important how you do it, as long as you get a good smoke. Stuff and puff. You can use that maxim in many areas of life, Chad, don't you know? Yeah, a wide punch is pretty much the same kind of idea. I actually did buy a very wide punch, Chad. But I've stuck to the straight cut now. I just don't see the point of doing any other type of cut if it in some way compromises the smoke. What's the point? I believe that the point of the calabash is that when you draw the smoke through the bottom of the bowl, and then it goes into the chamber to cool down, and it swirls around and cools down, and then goes out through the stem. So essentially, because you've got an insert and it's drilled, if the shape of the pipe means that it's always the rest of the stummel is below the chamber, so there's no point drilling it to the side because the path of the smoke has to go this way, so you have to do it at the bottom. There's no other way of doing it. If you do it any other way, then it's not having a straight path, so that's why it's at the bottom. Yeah, a double V gives you the same thing. In fact, a double V is actually giving you more footprint, basically. It's the same as why same principle as if you look at it from a 3D point of view, why a rusticated pipe or a sandblasted pipe might be cooler because there's of the radiator effect, because you've got the 3D up and down of the rustication. So you've got, if you like, double the amount of surface area. And it's the same with the cut. If you do a straight cut, you've got that circumference, that diameter rather, of exposed leaf. If you do the V cut, you've got a fairly similar amount of leaf exposed, but it's in a V shape. And because it's a V shape, you're getting that bit and that bit being open. You do a double V, you've got that twice. But in terms of direction of the smoke as it comes through the cigar, a straight cut, in my personal experience, is always better. The round-shaped cigar cutter, there's a lot of innovation in this cutter. I don't know if I've done reviews, but I've certainly shown the tools, new tools, when I get them. But in terms of how good this is, a few things which disappointed me. You can see that it looks quite robust, and it's got it feels like quite a really solid finish. But it actually, this blue sort of thing coming through this. The stuff is chipped off. I should really send it back. It's just laziness, really, because Cigar are very good with their guarantees. But the innovation of this particular cutter is all in the mechanism. And when you release it, you see both sides pop out. And the idea of this is that on other cutters, when you bring the blades in, one side comes in and the other side is virtually static. Even if it's not supposed to be, it is in reality. So what happens is that sometimes you squash the cigar. With this one, when you press one side, even if I'm not holding the other side, if you press one side, the other side comes in. So you're getting equal pressure on both sides of the cigar. So you're supposed to get a really nice clean cut. In practice, I didn't find this to be that great. I actually found that because it's got all that mechanism in there, the depth of this is over a centimeter. So when you're lining up your cigar cap, the head is like 6 or 7 millimeters inside, and to get it right, yeah, I mean it's not rocket science, but it's just not as intuitive. It's a bit of a pain. Whereas when you got with the butterfly one, or the one that I've been using, it's right there. Hey James, how you doing? You don't smoke cigars that often, Chad, do you? How you doing, Cliff? 1960 root briar, very, very good. I mean, if you're going to buy Dunhill, those are the ones to buy. To go for the 1960s, 50s and 60s, those are the ones to go for, really. So I hear. But the butterfly one has been my go-to cutter for years now. It's just a great cutter. It's compact. It is a really good cutter, and even when it's a little bit dulled, and it's not as sharp as the day you bought it, it still cuts pretty well. Hey Ratio, thank you very much. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Chadraphenia, good one. Yeah, you wouldn't get a whistle because the bowl is too narrow. That you wouldn't get. Where the hole comes into it, maybe. But yeah, as Mike says, just get it re-drilled. Cliff, I think Chad's saying, right on, brah. I can't compete with Chad when it comes to music, I'm afraid. I saw your video last night. I mean, I didn't see it last night, but I saw it today, this evening. Chad, why haven't you started using YouTube live stream? Are you not able to do that? I thought you were waiting for the 1,000 mark to do that. Have you tried and not been able to? That's interesting. Have they changed that? Do you need a higher number now? Have you found out about it? Irish Flake has a floral note, really? I've got some old Irish Flake. It's one of the first tobaccos I bought. They send you a notification when they approve. Okay, maybe you need to get a little bit higher. I remember when I first was exploring pipe tobaccos, I wanted to try more natural tobaccos. In other words, tobaccos which had flavour, but the flavour being produced by the additional tobaccos, by the blending, by the mixture, whether it was Orientals or whatever it might be, Perique. So different flavours of tobacco, different blends, but which didn't have aromatics added. One of the ones that tobacconist I went to told me to try was Irish Flake. But I didn't really get any floral notes. It's been a long while since I've tried it. But he did tell me at the time that it was quite a stout blend. I think I've still got a couple of flakes left. Let's have a look. You can see how often I've been into this. This is April 2016, so that's what, 4 years? 4.5 years. Look at the dust. Oh, it's got a great aroma, very rich, very intense aroma. This came in one of those original small square brown tins, you know, with the orangey brown. You can see the sugar's glinting on the edge there. Some nice flakes, still really moist. It's got a very rich, stewed, fermented aroma, quite deep. So you guys get some floral aroma, flavor from it. Hey Mark, how you doing? Kev, Suffolk. Yeah, it is a really nice looking tobacco. I think it's been a good while since I've smoked it. Can you take a vintage older pipe, Daniel asks, and bring it back to life? For sure. I mean, it depends on why it would need bringing back to life, what the issue is with it. But if you're getting an old pipe and it's caked up or that kind of thing, for sure, you can clean out the bowl, give it a good ream. I've done that many times. And some of the pipes, I mean, this is an example. I mean, this pipe, there wasn't anything serious wrong with it, but it just needed a good cleanup. This is a Les Wood silver spigot. I sanded this right down to briar, restained it, and there was a little bit of wear on this rim, so there was a little bit of an edge on it. You know, sometimes when you get a guy who's smoked it for years, always lights it in exactly the same way, and the flame kind of hits the exact same spot every single time, so you end up with a little bit of a divot, a little bit of a dent, if you like, where that's been happening. So I just trimmed down the whole top, and it just looks brand new. And so you can, yeah, for sure, you can bring it back to life. I have re-drilled many pipes. Yeah, I mean, you will have legacy flavors. You can do a salt treatment to draw out all of those juices. It depends how far you want to go. I've never actually bothered doing that with a pipe. What I generally do is I will clean it out thoroughly. I will sanitize it with alcohol, leave it for a few days, let it dry out thoroughly, and then load it. So it depends. If it's got a particular aroma left in it, sometimes I'll use it as a latakia pipe, because the latakia overpowers that anyway, and it'll draw in the latakia juices and create a new sort of ghosting in the pipe, or an aromatic tobacco. But re-drilling, you wouldn't want to re-drill the bowl, but you could re-drill the draft. I do that all the time. I've re-drilled most of my pipes to 4.5 mil, 4.5, something like that. Most of them are around 3 mil. When you get them, most pipes are drilled around 3 mil, but I've re-drilled most of mine to 4, maybe 4.5. So if there was any gunk in there, obviously that's gone once you re-drill it. Quiet nights, I've kind of gotten to the stage where, for instance, if I'm smoking a Latakia blend or a Balkan blend and I like what I smoke, I'm not really chasing other ones. I went through a period of, I would say, the first 3 years or so, where I just wanted to try everything out there. So I never replenished my quiet nights. When I finished that tin, I didn't buy another one. And because I can get Northwoods and I can get special Latakia flake, I just don't feel the need. You know, I've got some Penzance if I ever want to try it, and I've got 1820 flake from Germain's, which is now the UK sort of version, which is nearest to Penzance, but not quite. But I must be honest, I just prefer special Latakia flake to Penzance, and Star of the East as well. It's all of those they're all nice blends. They're all nice Balkan blends. But if I can get special Latakia flake, I'm happy. So I'm not really chasing all of those, I have to be honest. So I can't answer you that question on whether it's better with age, but I think that you can be fairly confident that it will be better with age. It'll be a lot smoother. The Latakia will smooth out. I did go through a period of watching all the Bruce Lee films, I have to say. and especially watching the sound effects catch up about 3 seconds after the action. That was fun. Or the action catch up with the sound effects. Either way. I remember when I was probably in my 20s, we started to get multi-region DVD players. I mean, I don't know who uses a DVD player still, but when they first came out, a lot of the discs that you were able to get were non-UK regions. So there was European. Yeah, exactly, Josh. He was too fast for the film, right? There was European version discs and the rest of the world. And if you wanted to watch some of the films which were just not available here, you had to get the rest of the world region. And in order for that to work, you had to get a multi-region DVD player. So that was a fun time I had in my mid-20s, I think, sort of experimenting with different DVD players. Hey Tree, how you doing? Well, Daniel, buying an estate pipe, what you'd call an estate, is a bit of a crapshoot. It's potluck. You've got to be lucky when you're buying estate pipes. However, you could get a fantastic pipe because it's been broken in well, and a good pipe is a good pipe. If it was good briar to start with, it'll always be good briar as long as it's not abused. If you've got a pipe which happens to have bad briar, and I think there is such a thing, some people might argue it just hasn't been broken in properly, but sometimes you can just get a pipe which is just too dense, or it's just, for whatever reason, just doesn't work well. Hey David, how you doing? But you can get lucky. I would say that with all the estate pipes that I've bought, I would say I don't think I've ever had any real disasters. Occasionally you'll get a pipe which, it's been so well smoked that, it's even sort of carved a little bit of a niche in the briar. I think is it Chad? No, Josh. He's got one of those pipes of mine. I think in Ascolti. I imagine it still smokes well. Josh, you still got that one? Well, there you go. That's exactly proof of the point. You can get an old pipe which looks a bit beat up, but if it's broken and well, there you go. Mike's giving you the answer there. But if it's broken in well, in terms of getting a dud pipe, there's always that chance. But overall, I have to say that I've been very, very lucky. I haven't had any real disasters with estate pipes. But as time has gone on, I have to be honest, I do prefer to break in my own pipes. I've got some, great pipes, but they just... that process of breaking it in, for instance, I've got a Chariton pipe, a Dublin Sandblast, a beautiful pipe. I converted it to 9mm, which some people is a bit of a Philistine action, but I did it nonetheless. But it's got such a rich flavour. Any tobacco that I smoke in it, the tobacco is so rich and so intense that I don't smoke it that much. So I generally tend to stick to new pipes nowadays. Not all the time. I mean, I've got some Stanwells and things like that which I've bought as estates. Well, Boris, I guess you've built up a tolerance towards nicotine. Hey, Reed Bender Bird, how you doing? I haven't been on the Professor Jeremiah ones for a few weeks now. I'll have to make sure I put that right tomorrow. Is the usual link working? Daniel, yeah, I think that's a great point you make. Sometimes if you I think that the answer is that whether it's the pipe or the tobacco, you've got to experiment. So if you get a pipe which you smoke something in and it doesn't taste great, try another tobacco, try another two tobaccos, try a different genre of tobacco in that same pipe. And more than often than not, you'll find a tobacco that works in that pipe. And the same with tobacco. If you have a tobacco, you try it in a pipe and you don't like it, try the same tobacco in a different pipe, and 3 or 4 different pipes, and it'll work in a particular pipe, probably. And there'll be some which you just don't like. Oh, that's nice. If you got an old buddy who's taken up, and you can sort of take him on that journey, you know, that takes your friendship to another level. That's very cool. I think the one area which I should really listen to my own advice is with cobs. I've never really persevered with cobs. You know, watch somebody like Chad chomping away on a cob, and you just look at the colour of Chad's pipes. It's just amazing. They're black. There's a whole load of different types of briar, Daniel. Cheers, Suffolk. All the best. There's not just 2. I mean, the plant is the same plant. It's the same genus, but there's from different regions all over the world. There's lots of different briars. Chad likes them from the outside. Yeah, it looks like it for sure. Wooden briar is the best. Thank you, pictures and more. Yeah, so in terms of a price of a cigar, this particular cigar, if you were buying it retail, you'd be paying something like £25-28 for this. So in terms of US dollars, $35-40. But I very rarely buy retail. This I bought online, and I bought this box of 10 probably for about $100 US dollars. So about $10 each, less than half the price. The only time I really buy retail is if when I try out a new cigar. Or a UK regional cigar, something which, or a limited edition. Recently, Ramon and Yunus brought out the 2019 the number 2. It's like a pyramid. I think I've still got one. I thought I had another one. I'm pretty sure I bought 2 at the time. Smoked one, and it was pretty good. Not great, but it was pretty good. Yeah, I mean, the place that I buy from I Havanas, and they're great. Yeah, sometimes it can take a bit of time till it gets to you, but generally speaking, they're good. What's the pipe with the white insert on your rack? Is that paper or Meerschaum line? It's just a piece of paper. It's just the details of the guy who bought this pipe. If you're talking about this one, it's just a slip of paper with the name of the person who bought it. Good night, Mark. Thanks for joining. Cheers. Bong? Are you smoking a bong tree? Meerschaum line pipe. I have. I've had a Rattray Meerschaum line pipe. I didn't enjoy it and sold it, and I haven't bought another one since. I can't really honestly say and give an opinion about them because I didn't try them for long enough. But in my mind, I just logically, from a logical point of view, but it could be a load of baloney what I'm saying, but logic tells me that they kind of, look, the idea of it is to get a Meerschaum pipe with a safety of wood around it so that it doesn't smash so easily. People don't generally walk around with Meerschaum pipes because one drop and it's gone. It's cracked, right? So the concept is have a Meerschaum pipe, but surrounded by briar so that it doesn't break. But for me, the whole beauty of a Meerschaum pipe is the breathability of it. And then if you then surround it with a dense wood, to me it just seems pointless. The only Meerschaum that I smoke is the Pipe Club of London one. I probably would smoke more if I'd get some which I feel are made well, and I think they're quite expensive. I just find that the vast majority of Meerschaum pipes that you get online, the mortise and tenon is really the issue, and they just tend not to be made very well. I think there's a bit of a challenge binding the mortise or the tenon to the Meerschaum. I think they struggle with that. Mike, maybe you know more about that. Are Meerschaum drilled wrong or tight? Well, if it's drilled wrong or tight, then it's drilled wrong or tight. They're not, by definition, they're not drilled wrong or tight. It just depends on if you get one which is drilled wrong or tight. The truth is, I probably there's quite a few guys on Instagram and Facebook who do Meerschaum, some really nice ones. I'm not a big fan of these very ornate ones, although the one I've got is very nice. You've seen this one many times before. It's not particularly ornate, this one, but it does have the Pipe Club of London logo on it, which makes it exceptional to me. But there are some of these with very, very ornate bowls. I just don't go for it. It's just not my style. In actual fact, this is a Pipe Club of London calendar, which was made. I'll run you through the years. I haven't really done this online before. This is a Don Carlos from 1999. This is a Millville pot from 2003. That's a lovely looking pipe. And that looks like a Northern Briars. Yeah, that's a Northern Briars billiard. And that's a Blakemar bamboo billiard. This is a Blakemar, I don't know if you'd call this a calabash or a Dublin. A Peterson from 2014. Another Northern Briars, Dublin. This is the Peterson 2016 pipe. I have one of those. Hey Maui. I have this one as well. This is the 2017 Mastro de Paya. And this is the Meerschaum. It's from the same year that I got mine, but you can see this one much more ornate. Lots of beautiful carvings, floral carvings, but it's just not my kind of style. I don't like the floral carvings. I prefer a really clean, crisp Meerschaum look. Full bent billiard. Now this besides the tight draw. I still need to make a proper full bent pipe, like a Hungarian or a Umpol, something like that. Yeah, I've seen quite a few pipes like that, Charlie, where it's reverse, where the tenon goes into the stem. I once had an Orlick pipe like that. It was 9mm as well, an old pipe. 2016 Peterson blend, okay. Is that an aromatic? I think the 2018 or the 2019 was actually a vapor, which is quite rare for a Christmas blend. I think the Christmas blends tend to be aromatic, so that if people smoke them in the house, that people won't shoo them out of the house when they're having parties and stuff like that. So they tend to be aromatics. I don't know if that's the reason, but seems to have some sense to that. The maintenance of a Meerschaum pipe, I couldn't call myself expert because I've only got one Meerschaum pipe. But it depends what you want out of it. If you just want to smoke it and enjoy tobacco, there isn't really much that you need to do, other than wipe out the inside of the bowl after you've smoked it with a paper, and that's about it. And if you want to go the whole hog and start to colour it up and to get a nice sort of waxy colour to it, a golden colour, then you can use beeswax or just smoke it. Just smoke it, and that will eventually bring out the colour. Well, don't take your measurements on your boats there, Boca. Just on your deck. That should keep them safe. Aha! I've been looking for this lighter for a good few days now, and it was lurking in one of my drawers. My little flamethrower. Absolutely, I agree with you, Algolkin. Just smoke it and don't drop it. That's all you need to know about Meerschaums. Mike, did you hear when I was on the Virtual Pipe Club, what did you think about the chat about distributors? I've never heard of a Meerschaum pipe shattering whilst being smoked. They generally tend to shatter whilst being dropped. Oh right, I don't remember. I think you said it was. I can't remember. See, the problem with the Meerschaums is that I find that a lot of them, they focus. 99% of their focus is on the carving on the Meerschaum, not on the smokability of the pipe. And I find this area here is always questionable, and certainly the button. The button on this one, I should really take a file to it myself. But you know, when you haven't made the pipe yourself, it's sometimes hard to know. I mean, you can eyeball and see how big the draft hole is, but when you don't want to sand it too thin. But this one is so uncomfortable. I mean, I'll hand hold it, but for clenching, forget it. Forget about it. Hey, North Country. Yeah. The thing is, which you've pointed out yourself, Mike, many times, is that using a distributor, it just hits your numbers. You know, when you're trying to, especially for people who are relying on it as a living, you've got to reckon on dropping about 40 to 50% when you give it onto a distributor. So that's a big. I think your process has got a lot to be said for it, and I think you're very generous in how you handle pipes from people, and that's the only reason why I'd consider it. I did sell a bunch to GQ Tobaccos, and I'm still waiting for him to put them on his website, but I took a big hit. on those. Hey Jeffrey, I'm doing well. How are you? Jose, how you doing? Yeah, I guess so. But to shops, you would just sell it. You would sell your pipe and take your money and go. If they go bust, they go bust. You've been paid. And if I was to go to JJ Fox's and sell pipes, I don't think I would be doing it on approval. I would just sell them the pipes. And if they didn't sell, they just wouldn't come back for more. And that's why I've kind of been wanting to send more to GQ. But since he hasn't put my original set up, I can't really go back and ask him, do you want more? Because he doesn't know whether they're going to sell or not. This cigar is really not tasting very good at all. Really very bland and a little bit bitter, which is unusual for an H. Upmann. Most carvers offer 30-day terms, really? Okay, that's all new to me. There's not that many avenues, places to go here in the UK. For me to break into some of those shops would probably be like knocking my head against a brick wall. JJ Fox's only recently started selling Castellos, if that makes any sense to you. The first time ever in their history that they started to stock Castello pipes. You know, probably in the last year. It's funny you should say that, Jose. It might look good, but it's not tasting great. They're usually a cigar I can rely on to have a really nice bouquet. They're usually got quite an essence to them, but not this one. I use an instant coffee. I'm not very fussed with coffees. I use an instant coffee, and sometimes I don't do the whipped cream so much as I used to. It's really just milk coffee, and that's it. At the moment, that's what I'm drinking now. It's just a regular milk coffee. But when I do use the frother, all it is a half a cup of hot black coffee, instant coffee, and then it's topped off with a half a cup of whipped milk, and then mixed it in, and then just shake on some cocoa powder. That's it. Mike doesn't like getting whipped. Ooh, I wouldn't be so sure about that. Mike's a bit of a sadomasochist. I mean, he sells pipes for a living, for a start. Java Lava. Is that a cigar? That sounds like an aromatic cigar. Coffee. Oh, I don't think so. Horses for courses. If that's what you like, you enjoy it. I think the only aromatic cigar that I had was a Drew Estate, which was dipped into some saccharini, sugary kind of affair, and it was pretty. Put it this way: if you've never smoked a cigar before, you smoke that. Why not? It's a sweet tasting cigar. I guess it's like when you first start smoking a pipe, and you smoke aromatics, you know. But when I first had my first aromatic cigar, I'd already smoked plenty of good cigars before that, and to me it was disgusting. It really was disgusting. It's like putting a few saccharine pills into your mouth. New CD small batch red Virginia. This was a topic which I actually meant to speak about if it ever came up, because it was a topic which I was reading about. Not reading about, it's a topic which I was thinking about earlier today, about all these small batches. And over the past couple of days, and I thought if the opportunity arose, I would talk about it, but it didn't arise. It's a theory which has been percolating in my head about small batches, and for me, it's obviously on the surface of it, you could see it's a marketing ploy because it raises interest. But there's two sides to it that I see. Number one is that it's a good testing ground. You can do a small batch, see if people like it, and then make it as a regular line. Number two is just drum up business. You make something, give it a title, small batch, and to be honest, a lot of people buy it simply because it's small batch and they think it's going to be the next best thing since sliced bread. And a lot of people don't even smoke it. They'll buy 20 tins of it, maybe smoke 1 tin and put the rest away. I saw with Sunbear, for instance, I happen to quite like it. It's not my favourite blend. I can smoke it. I enjoy the first half of the bowl, not so much the second half. But so many people don't like it. And that says to me that it doesn't really matter whether people like it or not. People still buy the stuff. And I think that it's just a fantastic marketing ploy. And C&D, they've got so many blends out there. To be able to sell them the whole time, they've just got to keep innovating, keep things fresh. And that's the way they do it. I just think that it's kind of a bit cynical, but at the same time, it's business. You know, they've got to survive. And if we want them to be around to provide us with the regular tobaccos that we like, then we've got to also play along with that game, I think. If everybody ignored the small batches, they may well possibly struggle. It's probably a good percentage of their income. San Sepulcro cogs and sprockets, not my thing, but I'm glad you like it. Ennerdale, not for me. Actually, funnily enough, Ennerdale is one of the only Lakelands that I could actually stomach. I really do not like Lakelands at all. But Ennerdale is one because it's got this almond essence flavour as well, like this marzipan kind of flavour to it as well. I can enjoy it once in a very, very long blue moon. I think the last time I smoked it was probably 2 years ago. I smoked it once in a pipe and that pipe was done for. It's unbelievable how it can ghost a pipe in one smoke. I've never seen anything else like that. But Lakelands are just the devil's spawn. Hey Andrew, I mentioned you in dispatches earlier today. Yeah, absolutely, Maui. You're 100% right. McClellan definitely, the reasons why they quit were simply they couldn't get, it wasn't financial, I don't think. It was just that they couldn't provide and make the product to the level that they were used to making, and they weren't prepared to compromise. And as you say, they couldn't get that quality of red Virginia that they wanted. Hey Ben, how you doing? Well, if that's true, Chad, I would be very happy to hear that. If they sell more Haunted Bookshop in a month than they sell small batch. But I suppose they're obviously increasing their market share by doing those small batches and increasing their viability as a business. So for those people who enjoy buying those small batches, great. For those people who enjoy buying their regular lines, great. It all helps to ensure that C&D remains in business, I guess. So, you know, on the surface of it, you might feel a bit cynical about it, that they are being cynical when they market those small batches, but at the same time, it keeps them in business. Elizabethan, I've smoked it a bit, but I haven't smoked it in a long time, so I can't really comment, Daniel. I believe it's a vapor. I do have an open jar of it here somewhere, but I've not really found it to be fantastic to my personal preference, so I haven't really pursued it very much. I've got several tins in the cellar, and maybe with age I'll enjoy it more. In terms of Peterson versus Dunhill, the tobaccos, it's exactly the same stuff as it has been for a good number of years now. Yeah, XJ, that's about it. It's about the measure of it. They're in it to make money. That's their business. That's their income. So whichever way they can do it, and that's just a bit of innovation and enterprise. And people who are in a position to buy those small batches, great. I enjoy buying them myself when I can get my hands on them, trying them out, experimenting. But it's not something which I'm desperate for. But I do enjoy it when I can get it. I've had good friends buy them on my behalf in the States and send it over to me. So I've been lucky with a few of them. Not all of them by any means, but I've certainly tried San Sepolcro, and everybody likes to taste a bit of rabbit hutch stuff every so often. Well, Daniel, I think it's a personal preference thing. I think probably the most smoked is probably sort of a shag, but I think if you ask people what their preference is, I think people would generally prefer flake. My preference is certainly flake or broken flake. But I think that's really just an aesthetic thing. It also gives you the ability of adjusting the loading of the bowl and how fast you want your tobacco to burn, how tight you load your bowl and that kind of thing, which you can adjust with ribbon and shag as well, but it's not quite the same. I never got to try that Savinelli 140, but if it was the same as San Sepolcro or similar, then I'm happy that I haven't. Just a little bit too spicy for me, too peppery. Yeah, JB, absolutely. Although a lot of the 25-year-old Squadron Reader, that sounds like it might be really smooth. A lot of the broken up tobaccos that you get will have been flakes at some point or come from a cake at least. But certainly you're getting it in its original pressed form, and it's up to you to do what you want. That way you've got all the options open to you. So you can rub it out to a ribbon, you can put it in a coffee grinder so it's almost dust, and you can just fold and stuff. You've got all the options open to you, and sometimes you might employ different methods for different pipes, for different tobaccos. I think flake is just the most versatile form of presentation of tobacco. It just allows you to do what you want. It helps, it kind of contributes to the ritual, because you can fold and stuff, but most people, I don't know actually, maybe most people do fold and stuff, but certainly I take my time to prepare to rub it out to how I like it, to the consistency that I like, and you have that option with a flake. Hey Viking. Yeah, Daniel, they can. I've heard that too. And a lot of times they add extra humescence to bagged tobacco, pouch tobacco, in order to keep it moist, and that can have an effect on the flavour. In terms of the blends, I'm sure they're the same. Autumn Evening, is that also a Latakia blend? I think I have tried that actually, or is that the maple one? It's the maple one, right? They use something like that XJ, yeah, as a humescent. That Autumn Evening, does it taste any similar to the Halloween one from, what's it called now? I've got a jar of it somewhere. I can't remember what it's called. Anyone? Sleepy Hollow, thank you. Yeah, is it similar to that? Hey, North Country. You thought I'd come out. Well, I actually was on another interview today on the Virtual Pipe Club. It's if you search the channel, you'll see an interview with me on that one. About halfway through the video, I come in, and I'm on that one too. But on my own ones, I'm still the Simon that you know and love, no doubt. Yeah, they bring it out just once a year, around Halloween time, fall time. Strauss tobacco, isn't it? Strauss. I bought mine maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I think I bought 8 ounces of it. I bought quite a bit, gave away quite a bit, and I've got, I think, a jar left of it. And it's really moist, that tobacco, and I'm really happy that it's moist, because otherwise, you'd lose all the flavour over time. I've got one Kramer's blend. I can't remember which one it is now. It was quite nice. Maybe it's Cary Grant, possibly. Kramer's is finished now, isn't it? The actual shop. Is that the one with the old lady who carried on after her husband passed away? I think He Who Shall Not Be Mentioned did some interviews of that pipe shop. I quite enjoyed those videos. Just look at that vein. James, I'm going to have to set a spanner on you in a minute. A tobacco no longer available. Well, I guess a lot of people would say, good question, Ben. A lot of people would say McClelland's, I guess. I think that's going to be at the top of a lot of people's lists. But a few of us still have it, so I guess it's not one that you can't smoke ever again. It's out there. It's expensive, but it's out there. You got symptoms, Charlie? Thanks, Glenn. I never looked so good. You're right. You never seen me before, so that's it. St. Julian says tree. You like my new display? So we got a bit of the old London blend Burley. That was 1970s. That was Mature Virginia from 2010, I think it was. Donnell Navy Rolls 2011. I still remember the dates, which is ridiculous. I can't remember my kids' dates of birth, but I remember these. Audit Golden Slice, present. Erin Moore Mixture, 1970s. Erin Moore Flake up there, also pretty old, I don't remember how old. And the Penzance tin is 2016. Now that is just crazy that I've just remembered all that. That's embarrassing. Yeah, I changed it around a little bit. My corner used to be on the other side of the desk, and just thought I needed a bit of a change. Yeah, I could put some of those pipes up. It's a nice idea. Chad, that's because your looks are not new to them, and everybody knows how handsome you are. My kid's date of birth. Hang on, let me get my iPhone. I don't think you could expect anybody to remember all of the kids' dates of birth. Well, depends how many kids you got, I guess. Hey David, welcome aboard. How are you doing? I'm sure the first time you went on, Chad, people were very generous with their comments on how handsome you look. And you haven't changed a bit in all that time, so you remained handsome. Oh, are you telling me that I'm desperate now? You missed the big dark stain on my desk. That's outside in the garage, but hopefully within a week or two, once the workshop is set up, you won't see that anymore. I won't be using that desk. The problem with that desk is that it took so much room out of my workshop, so I've just gone for a workbench, which I've ordered up. It's going to take a week or two to arrive, but it's a big old thing, about 9 feet long workshop. And once that arrives, I'll put it together and get it going. The other workbench that I've had the lathe on till now, I've now brought it back into the garage, and I'm kind of tempted to just whack the lathe back on it and I'm kind of really getting withdrawal symptoms, not making pipes. Somebody made that about my comment about my drives. What's that? I missed that one. It never looks so good. Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Fine. When I say completely remodeling it, I'm not knocking it down or anything like that. I'm just basically setting it up in a more usable way so that it's kind of logical. So there's going to be like almost a right angle of workbench, and I'll have the machines in order of use kind of thing. So I'll probably start off with the bandsaw and the disc sander, and then the buffing or whatever. And on the other one, I'll probably have the lathe back on there. But I've actually ordered this workbench at desktop height as opposed to bench height, so that I can, if I'm spending hours in the workshop, I can do that sitting in a chair rather than standing all day. So I'll see how that works out. So I'm not sure where I'm going to put the lathe. At the moment, the lathe, till now, I've been using it standing. But if I can sort of feel comfortable and confident doing it sitting down, then that's what I'll do. And I'm also going to leave space for a sandblaster, which I also want to do at desk height or even lower, so that I'm not standing for I don't know how long, just standing prone in one position, sandblasting a pipe. So let's see. I'm going to leave space for that. I've got to leave a bit of room for growth. because my setup is fairly basic, even though I've got half a dozen different machines. But as things progress, you know, if I let it go to that extent, maybe I'll get a metal lathe or something like that. I've got to have room there for it. Yes, James, exactly. More user friendly. Sandblaster, I haven't got it in on my list now, but it's definitely on the list at some point. Yeah, Chad, I know exactly what you're saying there. Yeah, I agree. Oh, Boca. Now you're talking, Josh. You've got a good media face, David. That's for sure. You got a good media voice as well. And when you've got that big, huge microphone in your face, it really makes you look the part. The blaster cabinets are not that expensive. It's not the cabinets; it's the compressor, which I've done a bit of research about. But I've heard that there are pitfalls with the compressors. Got to make sure that they're man enough to stand the constant use. You know, when you're sandblasting a pipe, you could be at it for an hour or more, depending how many passes you do of the pipe. And apparently they run out of air, and you have to just let them recharge and then start again. So you have to get one which is man enough to just keep going. A great face for radio. Yeah, people have told me that as well. The pipe, the church warden on here, this is a bit of a hybrid. It started off as a Paul Menard pipe with a stem to about there, and I sent this off to a pipe maker to have it converted to 9mm, and in the process they managed to damage the shank, so they put a silver band on it and a church warden. Because it's such a big bowl, I said, why not just put a church warden stem on it? It's a beautiful brindle stem. If you look at that, you could probably, if you know your pipes, you could recognize who had made that. But I just took delivery today of a bunch of these metal clips so that I can hang pipes on the wall, which I thought was quite neat. I don't remember what they cost each, a few pennies, 50p maybe, but they allow me to just keep more pipes to hand. I've got stands all around the room with different pipes in, but I like to keep the pipes that I smoke regularly close to hand, so that enables me to do so. Although I must admit that church warden is there for aesthetics only, just to kind of frame it. I don't smoke that very often. Well, you guys have seen this. If you've been on the lives enough, you'll have seen my room. It's a fairly small room here, and this is just that's my desk, or one side of the desk. You've got a cupboard over there which has got my cellar and my cigars in there, and then behind you've got my jars. Whoops, sorry, took you on a bit of a roller coaster there. Ian Walker indeed. Hey Boris, how are you doing? Long time no speak. Yeah, I actually did in one of my lives, I think it was last week, I went through my complete cellar live. I didn't leave that video up. It was just a little bit too braggy, but it's yeah, there's a decent depth to my cellar. It's very varied. How much of it I'll smoke, I really don't know, but I don't add much to it these days. It's probably deep enough. The Humidor, it's basically a wine fridge. I'll show you that in a sec. It's basically a wine fridge, and it's a fairly small fridge, and I don't actually have it working as such. It's not, you know, some people convert them so that they don't use the compressor, because the compressor, if you use a fridge compressor, it dries out the cigars. So I haven't actually done anything to it other than closed up any holes at the back, and all I do is have my source of moisture in there, my humidifiers, and that's it. I don't control the temperature. You can buy proper humidors, frigidors, which will control humidity, control temperature, and control all of that kind of stuff. But I don't do any of that. I literally just use it as a airtight container. The fridges are all airtight, obviously, they have to be. And I just have humidification in there. I have the gel sort of packs. And that's it. The Cigar jars. These things. I've got a couple of those in there, and that's it. And I've got a Tupperware as well with some cigars in, and you know, a Tupperware container, a plastic container, which I have Bovidas in there. And when they dry up, I just put the Bovidas into the humidor, and after a few weeks they're back to their humidity. I put them back in the Tupperware container. Yeah, you can get those fridge systems, but you know, you've got to pay probably a few $100s for those, the ones which regulate the temperature and the humidity. In this country anyway, it's not so necessary. In hotter countries, in humid countries, or in dry countries, it is necessary. But here, there isn't enough fluctuation of humidity and temperature. Yes, you will get the occasional hot day and so on, but it just doesn't warrant investing in all of that. So for me, it just works fine like this. And the humidity on these is 70%. And there's very minor fluctuation, because I just have 2 of those pots in this Frigidor, and so it's not a huge amount of humidity, but it keeps it at around 69, 70. and it works just fine. My cigars really work well. They keep their humidity well. They come out with a nice amount of bounce, not too much, not too little, and it keeps them just how I like them. So I'm happy. 72. It's really it's a preference thing. I'm not going to tell you what's right and what's wrong. It depends what you're doing. If you're smoking through them fairly quickly, 72 is fine. You might want to take them out for a few hours before you smoke them, perhaps. But if you're aging some cigars, you probably want them at a lower humidity than that. It depends how many cigars you've got. If you've got a desktop humidor and you've got, say, between 10 and 20 cigars, it's not going to make a huge difference, to be honest. But I've got some cigars in there which have been in there for 3-4 years. So I try to keep it just below 70. Some people keep it as low as 65. When they're doing long-term aging of cigars, it has a more effective slow aging process. You don't want to have them too moist. You don't want to have them too dry either. If you have them too dry, then they start to the essential oils start to evaporate and dry out. 80, no way. Oh, 80 cigars. I thought you meant 80%. Why, thank you, Cliff. I'm sure you're just as handsome. Evening, George. Yeah, I know, James. I was thinking that for a second. If you had your cigars at 80, you'd probably be having growing cultures by now. I mean, every so often I'll go through my cigars and just move them around a little bit. And every so often I'll open up a box and I'll find them covered in spots. And the vast majority of time, it's absolutely fine. You just wipe them off and you're fine. It's when you get a real sort of covering of fluffy, furry mold that's when you have a problem. But the average spots and things like that is usually fine, especially if you take a paper towel or anything like that and just wipe them. I tend to just brush them against my jumper or shirt and it comes off. If it doesn't come off and the leaf is stained, then that can be a problem. It might affect the flavour of the cigar, but if it's just wipes off, then you're okay. Yeah, that sounds about right, Boris. Fluffy. By the way, everybody, David is the host, or one of the hosts, of the virtual pipe club. How long have you been doing it, David? Since June. Well, he's a host of this virtual pipe club, and he's got it all working through Zoom. So he's got various people. It's kind of a proper virtual meetup as opposed to these lives where it's just the host and then messaging. It's kind of the next level where you've got more interaction, more of a virtual meetup. But he also has some cracking guests. And today he had an amazing guest on his show. But no, seriously, he has some of the big players like who did you have on the other day that I saw? Brian Levine. I think you've had. Have you had Russ Ouellette on there? Feel free to big up your channel, David, if you want to mention some of the guys you've had so far. But if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the Virtual Pipe Club, and really a great channel. I'm sure that channel will grow exponentially over in the coming months and years, hopefully. Per Jensen. Yeah, that, I would have liked to have seen that. I'll have to look back. Are they all up on this on the channel? Hey, Desert Pine Piper. Desert Pine Piper was a guest on Chad's channel, on one of Chad's interviewees, and I think that was maybe the first one that I watched. I'm not sure, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's just amazing when you sort of get to see, like Mike Cainrod Piper's also done a variety of guests, a real diverse variety of guests that he's had on, and it's just great to see the diverse type of people, different backgrounds, different professions, different just different parts of the world. It's just great to see everybody having this common denominator being the pipe. And as Chad says, the friendships that you make on the YTPC across the pipe create the friendships, but the pipe is not what holds you together as friends. It's getting to know each other, it's interacting, it's chatting about anything, not necessarily about pipes or tobacco. But as a catalyst for friendship, as a beginner of friendships, the pipe is an amazing sort of binder which binds us all together. But it's the friendships that result which keep it going. I think that's a great point that Chad's made. But anyway, Desert Pine Piper, another great guest. Enjoyed it thoroughly. A wonderful change of pace. Okay. Interesting turn of phrase. Good or bad? Well, you said wonderful, so I guess good. David, can I make a recommendation as guests? First of all, any of the guys, any of the regulars here, Mike, Briar Blues, Chad, Boca, any of the guys here, I don't want to say some people and miss out others, but if you want, I would love to put you in touch with the president of the Pipe Club of London, Bernard Alotti. He's one of the most connected pipemen that I've ever got to know. He's been in the business, he's been a pipe collector for many, many years. I'm going to ask him if he'd go on, and I think you'd be amazed. He has a collection of about 4,000 pipes. But I would heartily recommend him. If you're interested, I can make the connection if you like. I'll have a chat with him about it, and I'll put you guys together. 4,000, yeah, 4,000 pipes, probably more by now. I mean, if you ask him, has he got any of a particular make, he won't just say, yes, I've got one. He'll say, I've got a box of them. He's got boxes and cases all around his house. I'm still yet to take him up on his invitation to go around there, but he's having some work done in his house now. But I will be going there at some point. And I've told him that I'll be giving him a pipe as well at some point as well. So when he's had his work done, and perhaps once we've got a shot of this dreaded COVID-19, I'll get together with him. Maybe I'll do a video of that as well. If he'll allow me to video some of his pipes, that would be awesome. But he's one of these guys who's just so committed. He's a cab driver. He drives a taxi, a black cab, and has been for many years. I don't know if you know, but Samuel Gowerth's Cabby's mixture is named after him. He's the inspiration for that tobacco, which is a pretty awesome thing. But he just knows so many people in the trade. He travels all around the world. He goes to Germany a couple of times a year to pipe makers. He's represented the pipe club. He's represented the pipe club in Japan, for slow smoke competitions. He's been to China, I think, Italy, France. He goes everywhere in the name of pipes. Yep, he's the inspiration for Cabby's mixture. It's named after him. No, you can't find him on YouTube. He's not on YouTube. He's on Facebook. And he's on Instagram as well, I think. On Pith Helmet Matinee. Has he been on there yet? If he hasn't, I'll recommend that as well. He's just a great guest. He did an interview with Pipe and Tamper, is he called? Hey Rich. He did a podcast. I think it's Pipe and Tamper. Is it Mike Murphy, is it? Right, yeah, so he did a fantastic interview with him on the phone. Actually, Mike Murphy, when he first started, he asked me if I'd go on, and I declined at the time because I didn't know him and I hadn't seen any of his interviews beforehand. It was right when he first started. So maybe if he asks me, I'll go on. Maybe I'll get in touch with him. I mean, not that I'm looking for it, but it would be nice, I think, especially since he did ask. He spells his name. If you want to search the podcasts, I'll type it out. Mike is taking a hiatus. Why? Was it Pipe Magazine? I thought it was on Pipe and Tamper. Maybe I was wrong. It might have been Pipe Magazine then. Yeah, you might be right, Andrew. I don't remember which one it was, but it was that one. I hope he won't mind me putting his name up there. That's his name. I think it's with a double T, if I'm not mistaken. Search him out on Facebook. He's definitely on Facebook. Just drop me another email, Rich. I'll be honest with you, I get a huge amount of email, so I can't always, you know what I'm like with names, I just don't remember everybody's messages. But by all means, get back in touch with me. Was it about the beehive, maybe? Pipe? Okay. I have to check what I've still got left from that sale. I think that one is still there. I don't recall. If you hang on a second, I'll have a quick look. The Plateau Cigar. The Plateau Cigar, that one might have gone. I'm not sure. Hang on. No, you're okay. They're both still here. Have all been sent off, so that should be fine. So anything that's still here means it's still available. There are another bunch of pipes which I'm probably going to be selling, which I haven't yet shown. There's a beautiful Stanwell Sandblast. There's that one there. And I've got another one, but with an unbelievable sandblast. This one is just got an amazing sandblast, this one. I haven't even smoked it. I got it recently and tidied it up, polished it up. Absolutely gorgeous pipe. I might keep this one, we'll see. But I'm kind of going a little bit into, refurbishing estate pipes and selling them. This one you've seen before. This is a Pipe of the Year Stanwell. So that's going to go up at some point. That's another. All the best, David. Thanks very much. It's a pleasure. And I'm more than happy to join you again. Really enjoyed it. That's another Pipe of the Year. This is a Les Wood pot. Unbelievable pipe, this one. Such stunning condition as well. Really thick walls. Nice long stem. Don't know if you can read that. Fern down bark. That Peterson, which I refurbished, 9mm from the 1970s, which I did do some research on the hallmark, and I'm pretty sure it's 1970s. It's the Donegal finish, but which has been carved rather than machine made. I'm pretty sure this was hand carved. And look at that, the ring just came off. I'll have to glue that back on. And that's one of the Barling pipes that Tree sent me. I'll put a new stem on it. It's a gorgeous stem. So that's going to be going up at some point. That's the other Barling apple. So that's some of the pipes that will be coming on again in the future at some point. Good night, bud. Thanks for joining. See you tomorrow, hopefully. Thank you, Piper, HH Piper. I had a great time, I must admit. Really, really enjoyed it. Well, with the ring off, it gives me an opportunity to position it where it should be, which is with the Peterson on the side there. I'll have to glue that back on. Alright, that's gone out. I'm not going to relight it. I wasn't enjoying it that much anyway. Alright, should we get another pipe on the go, or should we just not smoke? Oh, I could try this Irish flake. I think this is quite strong though, isn't it? There's quite a heavy nicotine hit on these ones, on the Irish flake. Any of you guys smoke this regularly? You sent me a video on Facebook Messenger. Okay. I will watch it when I finish this session. Yeah, I seem to remember that it was strong when I smoked it the last time, but it was a long time ago. All right, well, you know, I think I'm going to call it a night. What is it, 20 to 2 in the morning here. So I'm going to say thank you to everybody. Thanks for joining. It's been a long evening. Thank you, Boca. Thank you, HH Piper. Thank you, Boris. Thank you, JB. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Tree. Thank you, Reed Bender Bird. Thank you, David, who's not there anymore, but thank you all the same. Thank you, James Stumbo. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Rocking Steady. I didn't see you there. Hi. North Country Fisher. Captain Clench. Desert Pine Piper. Little Fat Morgan. And everybody else, thank you very much for joining. And I will catch you on the next one.